What's going on, everybody? My name is EK Johnson, curator, owner of the Hoop Coalition, and this is the 2024-2025 Clutch City Review, Episode 1. Now, if you're here, you probably already know what I'm going to talk about. The Houston Rockets opened the season last night with a 110-105 loss to the Charlotte Hornets. Thanks in part to a tremendous effort by Trey Mann off the bench, who had 24 points for them. He was 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 4 for 8 from 3, and 8 for 16 from the field. And LaMelo Ball, who had 34 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. He was 10 20 from the field. Played absolutely amazing, especially in the second half. And for us, it was a pretty disappointing loss because we had a pretty good lead during the half. But really in the third quarter, we just really let things unravel, and we were able to really dominate with points in the paint early with Alperen Sengun, who ended up getting a double-double like midway through the second quarter. He was playing amazing. We were rebounding the basketball. We were defending at a high level. But that third quarter, that's when things really, really got unraveled. We got outscored 30-23. It didn't seem like that much, but the Charlotte Hornets were really shooting the ball very, very well, and we weren't really able to score through anything, through transition in the half court. We weren't really able to establish anything, and we turned the ball over a lot in that third quarter. And then going into the fourth quarter, it was just more of the same. We got outscored 31-22. Alperen Sengun really didn't do anything in the second half. He had 3 turnovers, went 3 of 9 in the second half. That can't happen against a team with dynamic guards who can make shots and get hot super, super quick. But really what I want to get to is 3 of our starters. And obviously it's just game 1, but to see Jabari Smith Jr., Dillon Brooks, and Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith was 2 of 7, Dillon was 1 of 6, Fred VanVleet was 4 of 18. That can't happen with 3 of your starters, where you have Alperen Sengun, who had 25 and 18 with 4 steals, and he went on 10 of 22. And you have Jalen Green, who, he had 28 points, but he shot 9 of 23 from the field, shot 5 of 15 from 3. Really, in the second quarter, all the way through the third quarter, he really settled a lot for those threes, those top of the key threes that some of them were kind of, going down in the first quarter and early in the second. But, when those things don't start to go down, Jalen Green's best asset, and I said this last year, his best asset is being able to get to the rim with force, being able to get to the rim with quickness, with explosiveness. That's his strength. That's his best strength. And they were giving him some pretty good space to where he could eat up some of that space and maybe try to get to the rim, try to penetrate, try to put some pressure on the defense, especially with the Charlotte team who's missing their number 1 shot blocker, Mark Williams. They had Nick Richards in there. He was in foul trouble all night. Attack him, right? Another thing, Alperen Sengun, for as good as he was offensively, especially and also rebounding the basketball, defensively, especially in the second half, he was subpar. Didn't really have active hands. His weak shot transitions were very, very slow. Not necessarily as sharp as they were in the first half. To the point where Ime Udoka had to sit him. We had to do small ball 5. We had to do a small ball 5 lineup, right? And that's when we really, really got destroyed. Especially on the offensive boards, especially in the paint. That's where they were really able to catch up as far as points in the paint. Because they were able to penetrate. Trey Mann was really getting in the lane and finishing. LaMelo Ball was finishing. So I think, quite honestly, man, there's really no redeeming quality to take away from this loss. It just doesn't, for a home opener, especially when your 2 guys ended up signing very team-friendly but lucrative extensions. You would expect a better effort. But really, this really came down to the 3 guys in the starting lineup. We lost by 5. And like I said, Jabari Smith Jr., Dylan Brooks, and Fred VanVleet, I mean, they were just, they combined to score 24 points on horrible shooting. That combined with Jalen Green shooting 15 threes, that's not something I liked. I know maybe that's something he worked on in the offseason, but when you see maybe 2 or 3 not go down, you got to penetrate, or it's up to Ime Udoka and the coaching staff to draw up something for him to get him going downhill. And we didn't really see that in the second half at all. So just an overall pathetic performance. I thought Amen Thompson off the bench was really, really good. 13 points, 4 rebounds. He had a block. He was 5 of 11. He really has a chance to be a second team all defensive player. Just his awareness on the defensive end, his length, his athleticism, his activity, and also on the offensive end, he attacks the rim with force. He's a very, very smart player, great off-ball cutter. So I think he played promisingly well. But in a game like this, I think you maybe needed Amen Thompson a little bit more. He had 22 minutes. And also Tari Eason, I didn't like the fact that he only got 13 minutes. I think he's better than that. To be a 13 minute per game player, I just don't necessarily agree with that. Our rookie Reed Shepherd, second pick, whatever. He looked good, had 16 minutes, a couple of buckets, a couple of turnovers. That's what you would expect a rookie to do. He was really looking for a shot in the first half. He was kind of forcing it a little bit. I think he really wanted to get that first bucket, and he was able to get it, but he played solid. Jock Landale played really solid for us off the bench. Only played 10 minutes at 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. I thought he had some very, very productive minutes. And Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore only had 8 minutes. In a game like this with a guy who we saw last year to go nuclear, I don't care if it's first game of the season. If Ime Udoka is telling these guys, or if he's telling specifically Jalen Green, hey, let's try to get something going downhill, and he insists on taking that 3 that they're giving him. They're giving him the 3 for a reason, right? Hence the reason why he went 5 of 15. I throw Cam Whitmore in for a couple of possessions. He only had 8 minutes. We've seen what this guy can do all last year. Super explosive when he's given the chance. Get to the rim against anybody. And he's a very streaky 3-point shooter, but when the 3s are going, they're really, really going, right? So I would have liked to see more minutes from him. But all in all, man, a very disappointing opening season loss. I tweeted that this opening season loss was it was worse than the one last year we had at Orlando on the road. We got blown out by 30 plus. Because last year, new coach, new system, new players, and coming off the season we had the year prior, there were habits that weren't necessarily the best that I felt were going to spill over in the early part of the season. So I wasn't necessarily too upset about that one last year. Last night I was very livid, mainly because we gave up an 18-point lead, and we gave it up because, one, offensively, we became stagnant. At the end of the day, even though Alperen Sengun is a prototypical Jokic-type player, he's a post hub who you can play off of. When guys aren't able to move and cut off of him, like in Amen Thompson, he was really the only person that was consistently able to cut off of Alperen Sengun. But it seemed like everybody else was sort of standing around whenever he had the ball. And now he's getting double teamed, right? So now the next evolution is his game is going to be passing out of that double team, knowing where the help is coming from, and knowing where to, deliver that pass to, or whether it be a direct pass or whether it be a skip pass to the assist. I think that's the next evolution for him. Obviously, because of his size, it's going to be a bit more difficult than a Jokic who's 7 feet who can see over most defenders. But that's something he's going to have to deal with because everybody knows about Alperen Sengun now. You don't give a guy $100 million extension after the season he had last year and think that people aren't going to game plan for him. And think that people aren't going to, send a double, when he's in the post one-on-one. So he has to learn to play through that. And I think he will as time goes on. With Jalen Green, man, in the first half, 3s going down, he was getting to the rim. But I think he needs to continue to attack the basket. I think 15 threes is entirely too much. I would have been okay with him shooting maybe 7 or 8 threes. But 15 threes is entirely too much, especially when in the second half you have 4 straight possessions where you shoot a straightaway three and you're front rimming it. You're either front rimming it or you're back ironing it, and they're giving you pretty much a ridiculous amount of space. I would say at least 5 to 7 feet of clearance from the 3-point line, to the hash, and you're just not able to do anything but, be tempted to shoot that three, as opposed to trying to get to the paint, which we know Jalen Green is great at. So, yeah, overall, disappointing loss. Really don't have much to say other than that. Obviously, our next game is going to be at home. We have a bit of a home stand, but our next game is going to be against the Grizzlies. They come to Toyota Center on Friday, tomorrow. So we have that, and then we have 2 road games against the Spurs back to back. So, like I said, I was pretty heated last night, and I was thinking about recording last night, but I did not want this to come off as a rant after the first game of the season. So I decided to get a good night's sleep, and I woke up refreshed and a lot more calm. I'll just say that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video if you want more content from myself on the Houston Rockets or just on any NBA team, because I do cover other NBA teams. Please, you can follow me on Twitter at Coalition Hoops, or you can follow me on Instagram at coalition.hoops. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day. Peace.